Hello everyone, welcome to the Tech and Auto Show. I'm your host Manas Sinha and it is so good to see all of you lovely people once again. In case you're new here, well, welcome. You've just tuned into that one show which satisfies your hunger for both technology as well as automobiles at one place, which basically means why should you be watching two shows when you can watch one? This one. Now, talking about the show, today the Tech and Auto Show has taken the corner around the street, sat in the cafe, ordered itself a warm cup of cappuccino in this great weather on the street for luxury, because today we'll be talking about all things luxury, both from the world of tech as well as auto. So without any further ado, let's kickstart the show by first showing you a glimpse of what you can expect over the course of the next half an hour. This week we'll be talking about the biggest tech event of the year, the Apple event, where they have announced all things new, including the new iPhone 13 series as well, and we will be talking about all of it. And then we'll take you for a ride in the luxury electric SUV of the moment, the Audi E Tron SUV. And then we'll also go for a ride in the most accessible Mercedes-Benz SUV that you can buy in India. So there you have it, a very luxurious lineup today in this episode. And yes, in case you've noticed, this is the 2021 BMW 5 Series that's giving us company today for this episode. So you get the idea. You've got a lot of luxury in this episode. But as promised, we're going to start off with the biggest tech event of the year, which are the Apple announcements, and they've got a lot of things rolled out, from the new iPad mini to, of course, the iPhone 13 series as well. So I'm just going to hand it over to Shawvik, who's going to tell us all about it up next.
Today, we are thrilled to introduce our next generation of iPhone.
Apple finally hosted its iPhone 13 launch event yesterday under the California streaming banner, and of course it was one of the most hyped hardware launches in recent times. Of course, the iPhone 13 was the center point of the entire event, but it was not just about Apple's smartphones. You see, the event also had the Apple Watch Series 7 and two new iPads, along with a showcase on Apple Fitness Plus, making it a wholesome Apple event as per usual. Now, the iPhone 13 series has met expectations to the largest part, and on that note, we'll be taking you through all the new hardware that was showcased at the Apple California streaming event and tell you what brings what to the table. We'll of course begin with the iPhone 13 series, and like the iPhone 12, this year also there are 4 iPhones for you to buy. The iPhone 13 mini and iPhone 13 get improved cameras and stay on with the same size and same quality of displays. Now the iPhone 13 and 13 mini are iterative upgrades, and their cameras are of course a little bit better than before. They of course get neural engine and the performance upgrade with A15 Bionic and the neural engine and the 5-core GPU that comes with it. The big upgrades, however, have come in with the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max, which now get ProMotion as part of their Super Retina XDR display, which means that their displays can now go all the way up to 120 Hz. Now that's a feature that Android devices had already introduced, and Apple was being frowned upon for not having introduced them with the iPhone 12 in 2020, but well, in 2021 here they are. Apple also has a new cinematic mode as part of their iPhone 13 Pro camera experience, and this new mode has this entire rack focus automatic focusing mechanism which aims to replicate the cinema quality camera focusing that professional videographers can do. It also gets Dolby Vision HDR and Apple ProRes 4K 30fps videography as part of its key feature sets. Of course, there are new colors. The Sierra Blue is one that Apple focused on, and on overall terms, it remains consistent as an overall package. Alongside that, we now have with us the Apple Watch Series 7, and unlike what the renders and the leaks had suggested, it doesn't have flat edges, which in our books is a really good thing. For you see, the design has been improved even more thanks to a smooth flowing display which now has even thinner bezels and is 70% brighter than before. Apple says that the display area has been significantly improved, and this means that you now get a more usable watch space to interact with. On this note, the Apple Watch Series 7 gets a new keyboard, a full-size keyboard with which you can type in messages before sending, or you can swipe on the letters to send messages, and that is a really neat trick. It of course also gets new watch faces, and the health and fitness tracking features remain consistent. It also improves importantly in durability and gets IP6X dust proofing and WR50 water resistance rating with the new watches. There's of course 4 colors with aluminium, 3 with stainless steel and 2 with titanium. That's gonna be on offer with Apple Watch Series 7. We now move on to the iPads, and we begin with the basic 9th generation iPad, which is the entry point to Apple's overall iPad experience. It gets the A13 Bionic processor to improve the overall performance, and the display size remains consistent as the overall entry-level iPads from before. The design also retains the older generation look, which in our books isn't exactly the best thing. It still retains the home button and the Touch ID, but Apple has improved the front camera, which now gets a 12.2 megapixel 122-degree field of view camera with center stage on it. Apple says that it's now a good enough tablet to use for even basic work tasks, and it supports the Apple Pencil First Gen and the Smart Keyboard. But moving on to the show stealer, which was the iPad Mini. The new iPad Mini gets the new Apple iPad design language, which is slim bezels and uniform bezels with the Touch ID on the power button at the top. It gets an 8.3-inch display, but thanks to the compact footprint, Apple says that it's almost pocketable. It gets good overall performance and is meant for entertainment consumption, but gets an overall performance upgrade as well, with prices starting at $499. As for the iPad, prices start at $329 and it will remain the entry-level iPad. In India, the prices for the new iPad starts at around $31,000. And with that, we come to a wrap with what has been announced by Apple as its biggest hardware of the year. We of course have the iPhone 13 range, starting from the iPhone 13 mini at $699 and $69,900 with its 128GB storage variant in India. The Apple Watch Series 7 is also being introduced and will come to India as well. And while the basic iPad does get an upgrade, it is the iPad mini that was practically the device of the show this year.
Here's our new iPhone lineup, including iPhone 12, iPhone 11, and iPhone SE starting at just $399.
Now let's move on to the world of automobiles. Let's talk about cars. You know what? Let's actually talk about electric cars. You know what? Let's actually talk about luxury electric cars. Yes, that sounds about right. If you want to have a luxury electric SUV, then Audi has the answer in the form of the Audi E Tron. Is it good? What does it bring to the table? Let's head on over to Arjit to find out more.
Love it or hate it, but you can't deny the fact that the future of mobility is indeed electric. The modern age electric cars are far superior and as practical as their petrol and diesel counterparts, while being green and nature savior. Now, one such electric car with me today is the Audi E Tron. Now, not only the e-tron is Audi's first ever global electric vehicle, it is also an incredible start to the brand's decision to go fully electric by 2033. Now, on a lighter note, any car that Tony Stark, aka the Iron Man, drives has to be special. Bad joke, I know. So let's see, why is this Audi e-tron so special and a stepping stone in the future of mobility. Now, first things first, no matter how much you deny, but EVs from yesteryears used to carry a different design language than IC engine vehicles and were not that good looking. What Audi has done here is launched their first ever EV as a SUV, a segment in demand today and most probably tomorrow as well. The e-tron gets a styling language which will help it get well in this conventional vehicle heavy market and also eases the transition for a first time EV buyer. Up front is a large hexagonal grille with matte grey finish and prominent bonnet lines, adding the bulk to the car. At the sides are massive 20-inch wheels with yellow calipers and an elongated body profile, while the rear gets integrated spoiler and connected tail lights. Now, apart from the overall design of the Audi e-tron, one design addition that I feel is a landmark for electric vehicles is the addition of dual charging ports, one here and one on the other side, which actually solves a big parking problem. Inside the cabin, you get this sense of a regular Audi vehicle, which is a good feel if you are switching from an IC engine SUV to an electric SUV. The all dark cabin with a hint of grey elements is of top-notch quality. The dashboard area gets a waterfall design with twin screens, one for the infotainment and other for the AC control. You also get another screen for virtual cockpit, making the cabin look future ready yet approachable. Features wise, the e-tron gets a panoramic sunroof, 4-zone climate control, wireless charging, wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, optional air purifier, ambient lighting with 30 color options, head-up display and much more. What's missing, however, are ventilated seats, wireless phone connectivity and connected car technology, which snatches away some fun from the e-tron. Now, apart from the features, for any car to succeed in India, practicality is one crucial factor. And what I love about the Audi e-tron is the very fact that it is as practical as any other full-grown SUV in the market. Check the boot size here. There you go. The boot has a volume of 660 liters, which makes it really massive and highly practical as it is both deep and wide. Not just the boot, the car also screams practicality from inside the cabin. There's enough legroom and shoulder room at the rear bench, and the floor is almost flat despite a large battery pack beneath. Now, I know there is no engine as such, but the battery pack plays a crucial role for any electric car. And what Audi has done is played smartly by offering two different variants, the Audi e-tron 50 and the Audi e-tron 55. Now, both these variants get different driving range basis the pricing, and the one we are driving is the Audi e-tron 55 with the maximum WLTP range of 484 kilometers on a single charge. There are three variants on offer, two in the 55 configuration and one in the 50 configuration, priced between rupees 99.99 lakh to rupees 1.17 crores ex-showroom, a range that is similar to the other two rivals. As for the charging, Audi is providing a home-mounted 11 kilowatt AC wall charger along with a charging cable that you can plug in any of the 15 ampere socket. Then there are also DC chargers that you can find in almost every Audi dealerships and elsewhere. The e-tron 55 draws its power from a 95 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which supplies it to two motors, one on each axle. The 55 gets an output of 408 HP and 664 Newton meter. But that's just for the sports mode. In regular modes, the e-tron delivers 360 HP and 561 Newton meter of output, and nowhere does this output hampers the performance much. In fact, in order to conserve the battery, I drove the SUV mostly on the eco mode and found it quite fun to drive like rest of the Audi cars. It was so like driving the regular cars that to an extent I almost got disappointed, as I was expecting something unusual about driving a big and bulky EV as this one. The only change is the tremendous initial acceleration you get on the push of the pedal thanks to the electric drivetrain. Like other EVs, the e-tron also gets regenerative braking, but unlike those EVs, it doesn't feel like abnormal while braking the car. The e-tron is also super smooth to drive, with suspension soaking most of the bumps despite having a massive 700 kg battery underneath the cabin. This also helps in good driving dynamics by lowering the center of gravity further. The steering was decent enough for our city commute, as Audi has tried to lighten it to balance the heavy vehicle, taking out some of the feedback. So that's it. That's our explanation on why the Audi e-tron is such a special vehicle and why it is a driver for the future of mobility, not only in India but globally.
Welcome back. You're watching the Tech and Auto Show, and I'm your host Manav Sinha. Now, in this episode, we're talking about all things luxury. We've spoken about the Apple iPhone 13 series and all the new products that Apple recently announced. We've talked about a luxury electric SUV, the Audi E Tron, in the first half of the episode as well. But now, as promised, we're going to talk about your most accessible way into the luxury SUV lineup, if you want a car from Mercedes-Benz, that is. If that is what you're looking for, then the Mercedes-Benz GLA seems to be the answer. Is it really good? Should you be considering it? What are the things that you should keep in mind? Well, I spent some time with the car to find out more. Here's how my experience went. Now, we all love SUVs, it's no secret, and rightly so, because SUVs are the flavor of the season and they make a lot of sense for our road conditions. Now, if you want to have an SUV from a premium car maker like Mercedes-Benz, your most accessible option has been the GLA. Up until now, the GLA has been more of an urban city crossover kind of a car, but now Mercedes-Benz has updated it, and the result is this car right here. This is the 2021 Mercedes-Benz GLA. And right away, the first thing that you noticed is the fact that the new GLA has become more SUV-like. A big factor that helps towards giving this solid first impression is the fact that the GLA now has a significantly higher roof. Additionally, the large 19-inch wheels, the sloping roofline, and the wide base of the car give the GLA a very different stance as compared to the older model. It also sports the latest grille design, which looks great. Now, once you're inside the new GLA, this is where the big change really comes right at your face. That is the new interior design that the GLA has. And in my books, this is a far better improvement than the older GLA. You've got really nice design elements all across the cabin. You've got this nice finished metallic insert in the dash, looks really nice, but the highlight is this half over here. You have this large glass slab sitting right in front of you, which gives off the impression that this is one large screen, even though there are two screens fitted inside one panel, but nevertheless it looks really nice. What's also really nice are these AC vents, which rotate to close, but these have really nice design, and when you turn on the ambient light at night, they light up from the inside as well. This looks really nice, especially at night. Other than that, let's talk about the steering mounted controls. Anyone remember BlackBerry phones? No, just me? Nevertheless, you've got these trackpad on the steering wheel. These are touch sensitive, and the left half of it is meant to operate the infotainment system, and the right half of it is meant to operate the instrument cluster. It's a really nice setup. It is a really convenient setup in case you want to operate any of the features. In terms of practicality, there's lots of space all around you. You even have this tray which you can slide and open, and you will see that you have a wireless charging port over there. Now we have to talk about something important, which are your USB ports. Now there are 5 of them inside the car. One you have over here, 2 of them are in this elbow box right here, and you've got 2 at the back as well. You've got 5 ports, but all of them are USB-C. I think that's great future proofing. Everything is going to be USB-C anyways, so good thinking on behalf of Mercedes-Benz. However, Mercedes-Benz has made some rather odd choices with the GLA, as it seems to be missing some essential features. First is the fact that the car has no proximity sensors, so you do not get that beeping sound indicating the distance between the car and the obstacle when you are reversing it or parking it in general. Then, the doors don't auto-unlock sensing the key's proximity, so instead, you have to take the key out of your pocket and open the car like that every single time. Lastly, while it does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, it is not a wireless system. But other than these things though, the GLA does cover the other bases. Now let's talk about the infotainment system that the car has. This is the new MBUX infotainment system, and there are 3 ways that you can operate it. You've got the trackpad, as I mentioned. You can do it with touch response as well, and then you also have this really nice trackpad over here which has great haptic feedback, and you can operate anything that you want. You've got loads of things that you can do from here, and that also includes themes which you put on the car, and that changes the complete display and gives you the relevant information based on the theme that you have selected. So all in all, the cabin is a great place to be. But now let's hop on to the back seat. All right. Now it's time for the backseat experience, and the moment you sit here, the first thing that you will notice is there is a lot more space on offer as compared to the older generation GLA. For reference, I'm 5'10". I've set the driver's seat as per my height, and you can see I have good amount of leg room, knee room, and decent amount of headroom on offer. But it's a comfortable seating experience. Having 3 people sit abreast might be a little bit of a squeeze, so it's best for 2. And overall, it's a good place to be in. You also have a large sunroof which lets a lot of light in and makes this experience feel a little more spacious. Now what I also want to talk about is the compartment spaces. You've got a couple of cubby holes in the center console, but they won't really fit your smartphone. If you want to do that, you can do that, and then it's over here. Lastly, while the cabin is spacious, the boot space is decent at best. Now let's talk about the driving experience of the GLA, and let's keep it real. The chances of anyone going proper off-roading in this is negligible, and despite the fact that it now looks more robust, the GLA will live its life in city and highway roads. In the city, the GLA feels ever so easy to drive thanks to its light steering wheel and the big wave of torque that the diesel engine delivers at low RPM. The gearbox does not disappoint either, and altogether, it feels effortless in the city. As for the suspension and chassis setup, the car absorbs bad patches of road pretty well, but you do have to be a little cautious going over sharp bumps. But as the speeds climb, as you find roads like the highways, the GLA becomes truly delightful. The ride quality becomes even more stable, and the car feels responsive and agile even at triple-digit speeds. It is also here that you get to enjoy the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder diesel engine that makes 190 horsepower and a sweet 400 Nm of torque. Here, this torquey diesel engine is well complemented by the 8-speed DCT gearbox. The keyword though is refinement, not performance. So keep that in mind that this is not an all-out sporty SUV, but is well refined enough that it will still be a delight to drive in almost all driving conditions. So to sum it all up, the 2021 GLA has really changed itself, and that's not only in terms of the way it looks, but the image that it brings with itself, and that is something that a lot of people interested in this car will appreciate. And when you add to the equation the latest Mercedes-Benz design language, the new interior package, well, you have a car that's really convincing. Yes, there are a few features missing, but overall, the Mercedes-Benz GLA, for me personally, has gone from a car that I wouldn't really recommend to it being the pick of the segment. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of the Tech in Auto Show. I really hope you enjoyed this episode because we had a lot of fun putting this together. Let us know by reaching out to us on Twitter. If it's about technology, we are at News 18 Tech. If it's about automobiles, reach out to us at News 18 Auto. And remember, by logging on to news18.com, you can read more on both these industries as well as all about the BMW 5 Series 2021 model that you see right here. Having said that, that's about all for today. I'll see you same time next week, only on CNN News 18.